Good morning, everyone. I'd like you to put your fingers together so all the pads touch, the nails facing out and the thumbs facing in towards you. This is called Sumukam, faces mudra. I always like to think of this as the way that you have external faces that you show to the world. And even though you like to think of yourself as a solitary individual, you tend to be slightly different with your mother or your sister or your friend or your coworker or your neighbor. But then there's this other face that faces you. That's your own inner face. And you like to think that's a part of your subjective awareness that is not shown to everybody or by invitation only, or it might even be the face in yourself that you're not even clear about, things that you don't know about yourself. As Oscar Wilde says, only the shallow know themselves. So maybe there's more to be explored here. I wanted to share a wonderful quote from Alfred Lord Tennyson about how his view of what we might think as mantra can lead to a state of absorption. I think this is fantastic. So he says this, that he has the experience of transcending quite innocently at different times. Here's his quote: "This has come upon me through repeating my own name to myself, silently, till all at once, as it were, out of the intensity of the consciousness of individuality. Individuality itself seemed to dissolve and fade away into boundless being. And this is not a confused state, but the clearest, the surest of the surest, utterly beyond words, where death was almost laughable impossibility. The loss of personality, if it were so, seemingly no extinction, but the only true life." Now, yoga, through samadhi, as I'm interpreting it, wants to do the same thing, a kind of settled state of undisturbed equilibrium. And that's why the saints say, as long as you think, you have to give up the subjective aspect of thinking, which is the realization that your mind is working, and then the objective aspect of thinking or mind, where it has objects that it becomes aware of. To stop both of those, according to yoga, and to look behind the subtlest level you have to find the self, which is the subtlest of the subtle. And as Meister Eckhart says, any object that you have in mind, however good, will be a barrier between you and the inmost truth. So it's only until they call it Dharma Mega Samadhi, such a deep level of fusion, that all the afflictions, what they call the kleshas, fall away by themselves. And meditation is a process of refinement and amplification by turning your consciousness away from the external world to what's happening within you. And then slowly it reaches its karmic end. They use the example in the old days of like a potter's wheel. You know, the potter had to move the foot in order to spin the wheel, but once the foot stops pushing the pedal that spins the wheel doesn't stop all at once. It gradually slows down till it completely nullifies the previous movement. And so that's supposed to be like you've run out of the karma. You've kind of burned all the karmic seeds, and now all that's left is living the rest of your life. So let's follow the yoga code of conduct. It tells us what the right direction is from their point of view. It gives us guidance, and then we reap the benefit. So just like every asana teaches you different muscular contractions and skeletal alignments, so in pranayama also, we're going to learn what is the specific task through practice that each breath rhythm affords us. So today we're continuing with the energization techniques, but we're going to shift away from the Viloma technique, and now we're just going to add Pratiloma. So it's going to be open nostril, Ujjayi, open nostril, Surya Vedana, inhale right, exhale left, and then open right nostril, exhale both, open left nostril, exhale both, Pratiloma. So this will be a shorter practice today, preparing us for tomorrow when we do the same thing with partially closed nostrils, and then the next day after that when we do with Antar Kumbhak, and then we'll finish up the week with Nadi Shodhana. All right, so get your stance. Where are you today? Always have to start from where you are. You might change the way you're sitting. You might change the way you're lifting your spine. You might make a greater effort than you did before, or maybe you realize I'm too tense, I have to learn to be relaxed. And I like this old image of Ananta, the cosmic serpent that usually is seen as the bed that Vishnu, the preservative energy, resides on. So if you just think of this monster cobra that kind of coils its tail around and around itself till you can sit back in it, and then its hood rises up and over you, and you can lean back and recline against it. It's a very comfortable seat. So you're taking your position, you're closing your eyes and receding both the gaze inward and backwards, the eyeballs moving sideways and downwards. You're taking a few restorative breaths. And now, this is continuous cycles this week. On your exhale, allow your navel to move back. And you begin with slow, soft, smooth, subtle inhale, matched by a slow, soft, smooth, subtle exhale. And now you keep that going. You find your rhythm, you find your pace. And since this is an energization technique, you are slowly making the inhalation a little longer and a little deeper than the exhalation. All right, so you're on your own for at least the next minute. Of course, the idea is to balance the pairs of opposites and stay focused on what you're doing. Don't let what they call the promiscuous mind, not just the promiscuous body, promiscuous mind. We're used to simulation. You say like a bird flies from tree to tree, and the horse gallops from field to field, and the monkey jumps from tree to tree. So the mind is used to being distracted and going from thing to thing, and now you're putting the one-pointedness, the ekagrata on it. Just focus on long, slow, deep, smooth inhale, and the equally short, equal, smooth exhale, but slightly emphasize the inhalation. Settling into your practice, moving away from the external world. So find out how your seat, remember the Strangar's dictum, if it's a choice between a better sitting pose or a deeper breath, do the sitting pose. Find your comfortable seat. But you're not sloth-like. Remember, the snake energy they're talking about is ready to uncoil and spring at any moment. So it's really not weak and dull in its repose, but vibrant. Okay, so now we're going to switch from Ujjayi inhale and exhale, pay particular attention to the sound and make it as noiseless as you can, to right nostril inhale and left nostril exhale, all open. So next exhale, let your navel move back. Raise your hand, block the left, open the right with the thumb, and inhale. Block the right and exhale through the left. Now continue that pattern for a minute or two. So immediately you're going to notice that as you're digitally controlling, the sound may vary. So even though I'm saying do open nostril, if it's coming in too quickly and you're hearing a noise, you might want to narrow the nostril for a second, slow down the breath, put a brake on it, and then when you're not hearing the noise anymore, open the nostril a little bit and continue. Then block the right, exhale the left, and continue in that way. Practicing all these techniques is how a given sadhaka, practitioner, student of yoga, prevents the teaching from losing its potency. We say we save it from death by neglect. You practice it, it comes alive for you. So you're also learning that breath is intelligence in the body. How you completely follow the breath till you become one with its movement teaches you a tremendous mastery of directing your attention. Once you do it here in pranayama, you'll be surprised how your ability to do it in any activity becomes a gift that you've given yourself. Any change in sound tells you have to shift, maybe stop it, slow it down, but it's the clearest indicator how your practice is going. All right, so now you've done a few rounds of Surya Vedana, inhale right, exhale left. Now we're going to move to Pratiloma, they call this against the grain. The inhale will be open right, the exhale open both, the inhale open left, exhale open both. On your next exhale, allow your navel to move further back. Nervous system realizes a new cycle is going to begin. Raise your hand. Block left, open right. Open both exhale. Block right, open left, inhale. Open both exhale. You're on your own for a few cycles. So it's still Ujjayi breathing, and now you've added the opposite nostril, alternating the nostrils on the inhale, and you can see how this is slowly moving you towards Nadi Shodhana at the end of the week. Now, as we do all the practices as suggested in the sutras, you offer the fruits of your actions to the foot of your own deity. You've done the best, now leave the rest to your higher power. Whether you do this at the beginning of your day, the end of your day, during your practice, it's always a good reminder to align yourself with the forces of higher consciousness. You have this ally, why go it alone? Smoothness and balance always is given precedence to length and depth. You'll know by the end of the practice, by the level of vibrancy you feel in you and the energy that you have throughout the day, that you have to be watching for how did what I do affect me. Remember, this is the aftermath. You take on the yogic attitude, you do the yogic action, you experience the consequences in the aftermath. Let's finish one more round of inhaling right, exhaling both, inhaling left, exhaling both. And when you finish that, you gently will put your hands back into Sumukha Mudra, and you'll pause for a second, and you'll let yourself feel what have you loosed within your anatomy. And you can take a long, slow, deep inhale and exhale. And gently, you can raise your head up. You can open your eyes. And we can bid each other farewell for today. We'll check in with you tomorrow.